know about, you know who Fast Freddy is? He used to run, he had a band called Fast Freddy and the Precisions, and he used to have a fanzine in the olden days called Backdoor Man. Fast Freddy was DJing at the Starwood, and he said, I've got some Owlsley LSD, do you want some? And I thought it was going to be water, but instead, he said, come here, and I walked up to the DJ booth, and he said, tilt your head back, and hold your eyelid up, and I was like, why? And he put the acid in my eye, and I immediately started tripping, and so did Kid, because it just goes right in there. Anyway, so after that little, party at the Starwood, we were all back at my house, Disgraceland, which was called that because we had a bust of Elvis from Tijuana that ended up driving Elvis with their makeup on, just to dish it up a little bit. Anyway, so it was me and Kid Congo and Brad Gunning, who had a fanzine called Contempo Trends and was also the Gun Club's first drummer. And we were like thinking, what are we gonna do now? Let's do something. And so either Brad or Kid, I can't remember, suggested we go up to the old Houdini estate, which was it was about halfway up Laurel Canyon. And it's split into two parts across the canyon. So on the west side is Houdini's actual house, which was incredible. It's like, a 20s kind of old mansion, and it's still in beautiful condition, restored. The guest house was another story. It was where probably guests, but more likely staff lived, and that was across, and it was up this big hill. The Houdini estate was so big that it started on a hill, but there was nice marble stairs going down to where Laurel Canyon was. And the other one just had a couple of little stairs. So we were gonna go onto that side of it because we'd never been to the guest house before. And we got there, we got out of the car, and we were going up these stairs that just had all these leaves and shit all over them. And it was pitch dark. And I said, I hear music playing. And everyone's like, you're fucking high on acid. And I was like, no, I hear music. And they're like, well, we don't hear anything, And I was like, I can really hear it. And then I said, I'm hearing it too. And so Kid and Brad were looking at each other. And Kid and I used to take so much acid in those days that I would always have extreme reactions. I mean, I'm a loud person anyway, but I'll yell and stuff, and he would just be like, oh, Pleasant's getting now, if you said it nowadays, he'd say extra, you know what I mean? But he was a lot more calm than I was. I'd be like, oh my God, look at that thing, So he thought I was making it up, that I heard music, so then me and Lux said, we're gonna go and see if we can figure out where the music is coming from. So we're walking up there in the pitch dark, and we see this faint light. This is way up a steep hillside in the blackness. We see this faint light from where the guest house was. So Lux's idea was, he said, how about if I crouch down and you get on my shoulders, and then I can stand up and you can see into the window and figure out what's going on. So he goes like this. I get on top, and I said, okay, this is a really good idea when you're out of your mind in the middle of the night, in the forest, you know what I mean, on a steep slope. So he goes like this, and then he's holding my legs sort of around the knees, and then he stands up really slowly, and I'm sitting here like this at the window, and the room was full of bikers. They were in my head, this was the description, and also in the book I wrote, they were, quote, quote, big Bachman Turner overdrive bikers. I mean, they were huge, and they had candles all over. There was like a dense haze of marijuana smoke in it. So I'm looking in, and I'm seeing it. All of a sudden, this guy goes like this. Like that. And he's like, Miss, what are you doing? And he comes running over to the window like his prayers were answered. There's a teenage girl clinging to your window ledge at 3 o'clock in the morning. He's like, are you okay? And I say, this is my answer. I was like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm just standing on someone. And then he just kind of took him a moment to process, and he said, well, why don't you both come in? And so Lex came back down and we jumped off, and then this guy like came out and got us, right? And he wasn't one of the Bachman Turner Overdrive giant bikers. He was kind of this, he was sort of short and really wiry, skinny, and weird. He was like, kind of like what I would have described in those days as kind of a criminal face. Like he just looked like, I don't know, maybe it was because also I'm psychic. I don't know if you guys know that, but no, anyway, I was like, I thought this guy is weird. I mean, everything else was weird, but, you know, it wasn't the guy that has, like, you know, done the double take. So this guy's like, come on in, and he's like showing us around. He's like, yeah, we did this, and they were just squatting there, like a whole bike again, right? And so then he brought us up this path that was actually paved, and he said, wait till you see this. And we're still trudging through, there's still like, you know, bushes and sticks and all that stuff. Some of the path was okay, but some of it was all overgrown. And we get to this, like you can see in the dark, this big structure, and then he flipped on a pulled light switch, which I didn't know that's what it was until the light came on and I saw it. And on top of this huge pile of garbage, I mean, real trash garbage there, and in the, you know, that's the whole floor of the gazebo. There was like this really ratty golden yellow, like sort of velvet bedspread on a king-sized bed. And so the guy like looks at me and looks and he's like, yeah, this would be a good place to make it. You guys want to? And I was just like, I mean, who calls fucking naked in those days? You know what I mean? So I was just like, oh, thank you, you know what I mean? And then like, the guy's like, you want a drink? So we followed him down, and he was getting like beer out of the refrigerator or something, and somehow Lux and I just saw that it says Lux Avenue right there. That's crazy. So he got his beer out of their refrigerator, and Lux and I were both sitting on this big blocklet bathtub, and the guy sits down on the toilet seat, and he's giving us the beer, and we open it up, and we're like, thank you. And then he goes really weird and silent, and he said, this is how he said it. I was in Nam, you know, and then all of a sudden I'm like, holy fuck, this is not gonna go somewhere good. And he goes, when I found out my stepmother, the fucking bitch, slit her throat with the milk bottle. Look, I'm getting goosebumps because this was really scary. All of a sudden I was like getting this, what the fuck are we doing here and how do we get out of here? So I kind of like creeped my hand over to Lex's and I like squeezed it a little bit, and then he squeezed back. Like, he's a giant man, or he was a giant man, but he was horrified too. We were just like, what the fuck is happening here? So anyway, he's like, you guys want another beer? And we're like, yes, please. And so then Lex and I looked and just, let's get out of here, you know? So we started, like, we got up out of there and we started walking down the path, like in the opposite direction of the gazebo, and all of a sudden the same fucking guy, if it was weird with me, I'm standing on Lex, this guy jumps from I don't know where onto the path, like a few feet in front of us, and just like looking like this, all speedy and crazy, and then he's like, where are you going? Like that, and he said, we were just looking around, and then I was thinking, how the fuck are we gonna get out of this? I was really scared, and I go, you know what? I think we're gonna go and make it. And then I winked at the guy. and so, like Lex and I just went up there, and so we're sitting there in the pitch dark without the light on the gazebo. And he started going like making fucking noises. and I was going, and then somehow we really started fucking. and I was so fucking hot. I was looking at my feet that were up on his shoulders with like these little white majorette boots from the 50s that had tassels taped into them, and I could see part of my striped socks, and I was like, whoa, I'm so wasted. And then we started, then I said to him, I hear some singing. And he said, I don't hear anything. Apparently, like, this was the theme of the night, but then it started up. Then it started to get louder. So and this sounded like a fucking choral choir rendition of, it started with, and then the singer started going, in the jungle, the mighty jungle, the lion sleeps tonight. And everyone's going, woo! I mean, like they rehearsed. Look at, can you see, I'm really getting goosebumps. This is this is maybe the sickest thing that's ever happened to me. And so, like, what the fuck do we do now? We're just laying there, like, we were trying to, like, find pieces of our clothes. And we just started running down the hillside and like crashing into like prickle bushes and like just like fucking like dead sticks that were still on like a tree that had died and stuff, and we ran all the way down Laurel Canyon. And then there was this old man in like a 40s or 50s pickup truck that was delivering newspapers, and they flagged him down like how you would see in a movie. And he stopped and I was like, where are you going, sir? Where are you going? And he said, I'm going to Hollywood. And I was like, can we get a ride? He's like, get in with the papers. And the whole back of the truck was full of like the LA Times. And so he drove down the sunset, turned east, and then he let me off like at my escape where my house disgrace sign was. And then Lex hitchhiked home, I think. Anyhow, he came over the next day with their single of Love Me, like that single that came out, I think it was British, I can't remember. And then the day after that, I was at my mom's house, and I always read the crime blotter. And one of the writings in it said, three teens were shot with a BB gun by transients at the Houdini mansion. And then it said, no suspects were taken into custody. And I was just like, fuck. Yeah, that's the end of that story.